You're tuned in to 88.5 FM, where the Valley comes alive.
Now on VCA 885, where the Valley comes alive, we're covering all things sport in the Swan Valley. This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny.
That's right, you're in the sheds, you're with Alby, Brucey and Donny. We're back, well, Donny's always been here, but me and Brucey are back anyway from hiatus, from our sport-related tours to go try and get drafted by someone else, and it was unsuccessful. I'm back here.
G'day Alby, g'day Donny, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good to see the B team's back in the house.
Yeah, we didn't get replaced, thank you very much to Jimmy and to Ol filling in while we were away, and yeah, my little job interview / work in Red FM in Geraldton didn't pan out, so I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Yeah, I tried to do a sporting role over at Johor, and not being able to speak the language didn't really help. So yeah, I'm back as well. So you won't hear me on JBFM anytime soon. We have a huge show tonight. We kind of a few weeks ago. There's no way we would have even contemplated discussing grand finals for either clubs, and now both of them. We've got the Swan Valley have an A-grade grand final. Ellenbrook Rangers have a third-grade grand final. Midland Guildford are in the grand final. It's just all gone spastic, and it's all gone great for us.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the Swan Valley in just a minute, but yeah, if you had told me a month or so ago that they were going to be in the first-grade grand final, I would have laughed at you, because there were no chance of making the finals, let alone the grand final. But that's the way it's played out, and every chance of now winning a first-grade grand final, and a local derby first-grade grand final as well. So it's all played out beautifully.
Yeah. How long ago did we, just talking about even Midland Guildford, we were talking about them sacking captain, club in crisis, and look at that. So
yeah, I mean their fourth-grade team has been pretty much the only one that's done any good this year. But yeah, for them to be able to win some sort of silverware, again, we'll talk about the women a little bit later on, but they both went down in their grand finals. So trying to win some piece of silverware, even if it's fourth grade, it's still a senior trophy that they could possibly win.
That's it. We're also going to be joined later by Claire Scullin from True Sport, so that's going to be pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. I mean, it's a great program that sort of really gets into the communities, and looking forward to hearing all about it.
No worries. As always, if you want to get in touch with us during the show, you can hit us up on Twitter at @thesheds885, or you can send us a message on Facebook and let us know your thoughts or opinions on anything that we talk about. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to discuss Swan Valley, as we've obviously already said, victorious over Wembley Districts by 48 runs in the semi-final to go through to the grand final against Swan Athletics Centre. Donny, it was one of those games where we looked to be fairly in control, and then the next day we were in control pretty much all the first day. The second day we were looking good, and then they just kind of held on towards the end then, and it only ended up going down by 48 runs, so quite a close finish in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really terrible finish to the season for Wembley. At one stage they were 9-1, and they were flying on top of the ladder. Looked like no one could beat them. They lost their last 5 to get bundled out in the first week of the finals. So a really poor finish to the season for them. But yeah, you're right. A couple of half centuries on the first day for Phil Adams, and Rob McCauley. He picked the right time to get his first half century of the year with 79 off 80 deliveries. So he did it at a fair rate as well. And yeah, 296 was always going to be a pretty good score. It was always going to be tough to get. And, team effort with the bat, team effort with the ball as well. So lots of contributors with the ball.
Yeah, and just on Phil Adams, took out the award for the best aggregate total for the Wasker League. So very good achievement by him. Matty Weston with the ball just shy of taking out the best bowling figures there as well, with his 42 wickets at a rate of about 3 and over. for the season is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's no surprise to see Captain Fantastic as the leading run scorer in the tournament. He has been a shining light throughout the season. Even when the Valley was struggling, it was always Phil Adams. It was sort of at the top of the run scorers and trying to do it all himself. But towards the back end of the season, he's really got some help from some of the other blokes. So that's what the team was lacking. That's what the team needed. And it's under Phil's leadership that the team has grown to the point where they're peaking at the right time of the season.
Yeah, definitely. It's also it's kind of a fall from grace for Murdoch Uni as well, sitting top of the ladder. I think they lost one game for the season, and then they get knocked out by Swanath, who were the same as the Valley, kind of lucky to scrape into the top four.
Yeah, well, what Swanath did last week. It really does show that we can't take them lightly at all. They piled on 6 for 381. That's an enormous score in a day's cricket. It was always going to be nearly impossible to chase, and that's the way that it ended up panning out. Second century of the year for Dane Crognale. He's averaged 62.8 this season, so he's going to be the one to watch. We want to get him out nice and early. They had half centuries to Todd McBride, Andrew Clark and Jeremy Pollock, so there was lots of contributors to that big score. Murdoch, they went pretty well. They still made 320, but just chasing 381 proved a step too far, and you're right, it's been a fantastic season for them. I think I said at one point that everyone else was making up the numbers. It was those top two, Murdoch and Wembley, that were streets ahead of everyone else, and no one else was a chance. But what do I know?
Yeah, that's it. That's what the best thing about sport is. It doesn't matter how good you are; it's on the day. Now the grand final is going to be played this weekend. So it's going to be a 2-day game on the Saturday and the Sunday, and it's going to be played at at Swanath's home ground, which is Lilac Hill. Kind of a sore point at the moment because Swan Valley finished above Swanath on the ladder, so technically it should be a Swan Valley home game. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that one, Brucey?
Well, is the ground available? First and foremost, is there any other considerations? Obviously, we've spoken. Football's basically starting to come back in, but how far out have you got to book it? But realistically, you'd be thinking you've got to play or go to all extent to make sure that you'd be playing at your home ground. Obviously, the footy hasn't started this weekend, does it, for Swanville?
No, it doesn't.
Scratch matches and whatnot, but you'd think a first-grade grand final would take precedence over a scratch match, surely.
Well, absolutely, and realistically, what is it? It's not going to be a case of the goalposts are up, so they're going to say, "Oh no, we're not playing because the goalposts are up." So surely it's got to be there.
Yeah, it sounds like something that's certainly going to add, a little bit of extra spice. I mean, we've already got this rivalry with Swanath. We talked about it right at the start of the season, and it's something that has got a fair bit of history in it, and the fact that they've got the home ground advantage when they finished fourth, it doesn't seem fair, and gives us a little bit of extra incentive. And not that
I could understand. I agree. I could understand if it was something like you play at a grand final where you have to play at a neutral venue, like Subiaco Oval or any of the other grand finals. You play somewhere at a neutral venue, but this is not a neutral venue.
No, it's not. And yet that was my first thought as well when I saw it. I thought, oh, well, maybe it's the grand final's always there.
Do Swanath play? Is that their home ground?
That's their home ground.
That is their home ground, yes.
Are they playing on the turf?
They will be playing. Yeah, it's a turf wicket for the A grade, so it will be played on. It will be played on the turf wicket. Biggest robbery since the decision to send Geelong up to play against Richmond instead of Skilled Stadium. I guess the boys will now know how Geelong supporters feel. We're kindred spirits now. It's effectively the same thing. So.
True. Yeah, you can draw the comparison. Yeah. That's what they'll be saying going forward.
That's it. That'll be the headline anyway. So, look, anywhere, anytime. As far as I'm concerned, it's more disappointing from a club perspective as far as the kind of the takings for the day.
Yep.
Obviously, it would be nice for the Valley to be making that money for the day, but that's a decision made by WASCA. I'm not sure how that's all going to pan out as far as what
from a
happens there.
football point of view, I know we've done it previously, and that is the association would get the bar takings on the day.
Yeah.
And they'd run the bar. So how the allocation would go, but it may be different. I'm not sure with the cricket side of things, but yeah, I definitely would have been thinking as long as it's not a scheduling thing,
No,
they should be playing at home.
Yeah, the information I've got is that it is a decision by WASCA, and that the Swanath could potentially say, no, we'll give the home game to the Valley because they've earned it, finishing above us, but they've declined that opportunity, and we'll claim the home game grand final.
I bet they will.
Yeah, so look, get down Saturday, Sunday, going to be an absolutely massive game. It is the A-grade grand final for WASCA. As we've said all season, it was a 2-horse race and both horses didn't make the finish line, so don't listen to us with any horse racing tips because we're shocking. Swan Valley versus Swanath. There's going to be a bit of bite in this one. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Love to see as much green and white as we can down there to take on the Swan Athletic Caversham team.
Do you know what time first ball is?
I think it was 12:30. I can tell you in 2 seconds.
Put you on the spot, but
yeah, I did write something down, but it's all about professionalism and all that.
Well, it's good to bring that back after a week off.
Yeah, that's it, mate. 12:30 p.m. start, Lilac Hill North. So Saturday 24th and 25th of March, so this weekend. So it will be a 2-day game. It'll be interesting to see what whoever wins the toss, what they elect to do first. I think both teams are in pretty good batting lineup order at the moment. I think either one would want to get in and have a bat first, especially after both of them setting very good totals in the finals against the top two on the ladder.
Yeah, make them chase.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll be back in a moment, and we are going to get into the controversy corner.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, this is In the Sheds. If you've got something to say about the show or something happening in your community, contact us via Facebook. Back soon.
Ellenbrook IGAs are open 7 days a week with great service and weekly specials. Both Woodlake Village and Aveley IGAs are open from 6 a.m. until 12 midnight. Look for their latest catalogue in your mailbox or online at www.iga.net.au.
Some of the Easter specials available all this week are Red Tulip Carnival Rabbit, 180 grams, $2.89 each. Lily Dale Free Range Barbecue Chicken, $9.99. Bananas, $2.49 a kilogram. Washed potatoes, $1.79 a kilogram. Kraft Vegemite, 220 grams, $3.60 each. And Mainland Tasty or Colby Block Cheese, 1 kilogram, $7.99 each. All these specials are available this week at Aveley and Woodlake Village IGA, who are major sponsors of 88.5 FM, where the Valley comes alive.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny on VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive.
That's right, you're back in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885, or you can send us a message on Facebook if you have an opinion on anything we discussed tonight. We'll be doing the controversy corner, and I should probably do the intro. Say professional as always.
It's time the boys got
Good work, Buttons.
serious.
Yeah,
Strap yourself in for Controversy Corner.
I've literally got one job, and it's to press buttons, and I can't even do that.
No,
Jimmy didn't miss a beat last week.
Yeah. He actually called just before just to remind me that he did a great job, and then I needed to be onto it tonight, so threw me off.
He's putting the pressure on.
Yeah, that's it. All right, we'll get into it, mate. Kagiso Rabada had his suspension downgraded by the...
who wants to start here? 'Cause
I don't know. I saw... Look, I'll be honest, I saw it, and I've actually legitimately seen soccer tackles that are harder than that.
My issue I've got with it is that it's your space. You're walking off. He's given him a spray and then run into him. If he said he tried to avoid it or anything like that, that's garbage. He ran into him. He did hit him. Yes, it was soft, but guess what? It's a non-contact sport, and the cricket. All the cricket thing is that you can't give the blokes a send-off. You can't yell at them. You can't run into their space and yell at them or tell him which way the change rooms are. This bloke ran into him.
Did he though?
Oh,
He barely. I don't think he made contact with his arm. I think he just brushed his shirt. Like it was not worth 2 games. It wasn't worth a 2-game suspension.
Was it worth a suspension? He's already on. He was on notice for giving a bloke a spray, and he's already been suspended for giving a bloke a verbal spray. He gave the bloke a verbal spray and ran into him.
Well, he was still found guilty. It was just a downgraded charge, and it was a charge that brought him up to the point where he doesn't actually miss a game.
That's where the controversy comes in. That it's got me nuffed about this, and that is how they sat for 6 hours to get a downgrade. Don't tell me this isn't a setup. 6 hours to get a ruling. They must have gone through all of the books and everything else like that just to get that last little. They didn't send it out. They didn't. They just changed the wording, got him off on another one, so it just went to a lower points value, so he can still play. And if I hear one more commentator say, "Oh, but he's really valuable for the game," and for the the support of the game, and he's good for the game and everything else. No one's denying that. But guess what? I reckon if Australia gets rolled for 22 in both innings and we lose the series, there'll be about 75 cricket journalists lining up to say, hang on, we needed that bloke out of here. So,
do you think there would have been a downgrade if it was one of their lower order bowlers? If it wasn't one of their top enders, if it was just like one of their, kind of call-ins?
They just would have just gone, yeah, whatever.
They wouldn't have even challenged him.
Yeah.
More than likely, but I mean...
And what was the other one?
Well, you see the same thing in the AFLW grand final, like they're just rolling the dice, and I know Ollie's going to get into this later, but, when you've got one of your key players, you might as well roll the dice and see if you can get him to play. But, you can't blame Rabada or South African cricket at all, but, I personally watched it and thought, that's not worth 2 games. It's not worth a 2-game suspension.
No, I thought I'd gone to the wrong video. I thought, like reading the comments that said that Smith needed medical report that he needed a shoulder reconstruction and everything afterwards. To then watch that, I was like, hang on a second, I've missed this. I've completely missed this. That was. I can't describe how soft of contact that was.
He brushed his shirt.
But this is where everyone's getting a little bit lost, and that is the physical contact is probably, as everyone said, is minuscule. But this is his second offence, so he's already been done. He's already been suspended for a week for verbal send-offs of batsmen. Well, so this is he's got carryover points. He's a repeat offender. So you need to take that into context. This is not. And that's the same for the AFLW as well. She's got carryover points as well.
Yeah, and if she didn't have the carryover points, she'd probably be able to play. So,
and we'll get on to that one later on. That's another one I want to load up on.
With Rabada, what it eventually came down to, from my understanding, is that they couldn't prove that he intentionally ran into him. And I think in any sport, whenever they've got the word intent, there's no way that you can get inside the head of of any player of any sport and decide whether he intentionally did something or not.
You can only prove intent through overt actions, and I don't think there's enough of an overt action there to be able to prove intent.
No, I don't.
And that's why I think this is a massive setup. And that's as far as the Cricket Council and everybody else to send in there to 6 hours to just get the wording right, and then they wanted him to play. And they just had to get the wording right. So that's just...
All right. We'll move on to the Thursday night season openers, Donny.
Yeah, I suppose, from my perspective, I don't know what you guys think, but the idea of the opening game of the season, whether it's AFL or NRL or whatever it is, it should be a massive event. And I find it hard to get excited about opening it on a Thursday night. It's not a traditional night for either of the sports, and yet both of them are going to have their first game of the season on a Thursday night.
Yeah, you're right. With the AFL, they've been doing that for a very long time. Not a very long time, but for quite a while now, where Richmond and Carlton open up the Thursday night game, which has obviously come under its own controversy because for some time there, one was either doing well or the other one wasn't.
Or they've both been junk.
Yeah. If anything, my thoughts have always been that the opening game of the season should be the grand final replay, because that's what everyone wants to see. That you know that it's two teams that are still going to be playing well because they've just played in the grand final. You know, you can't go from grand final to, you know, the worst team in the AFL over the pre-season. You expect it's going to be a really good game, and I always thought that would be better than picking two teams to open it up, because Carlton's been terrible or Richmond's been terrible. It's very rarely that we've had an absolute cracking opening round on Thursday to open the season.
I've written down on my Controversy Corner media from the AFL, and this is one of the things that I just can't work out. Well, I know what they're doing. It is just they're pushing into everyone else's market. So I'm concerned that where's their next spot going to be? Wednesday night football? You know,
well,
there's just the Thursday night. I'm with you, mate. This is if they can't play that game in Sydney. Who's going to be able to go to the game? Thursday night football on a weeknight. That's a disaster. You can't do that just from traffic.
It starts at 4 p.m. here because it's daylight savings still.
Yes, so it's and it's not going to be in Perth either. So I just feel the AFL's got an agenda that they're going to be they need to push into new markets and try and chop everybody out at any cost. And the fans are going to be the ones who are going to suffer as well. Yeah. Thursday night football, that just doesn't fit.
Yeah, from all reports, I mean, it's a sellout. The Dragons and Broncos Thursday night season opener was basically a sellout at Cogra Oval as well, although that ground only holds about 15,000 people, so not quite selling out the MCG. But from all reports, it's going to be well attended. It's going to be reasonably successful. I just don't think it's as big a deal as opening the season on a Friday night. I think a Friday night season opener, like you say, grand final rematch.
Make it family friendly. Make it so everyone can go to it. Thankfully, for the AFL's point of view, this time is that it's going to be Richmond's home game, so they get to unfurl the premiership flag. They're going to get 95,000 there, regardless. But
they could have played me and you, and they'd get 95,000 to watch.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Richmond would have been there regardless. But I think if you'd had Adelaide there as well. Tex isn't going to be there, so it's an exact replay of the grand final because Tex wasn't there for the game.
No.
And
maybe you can get him just out there to toss the coin like he did.
Yeah, that's it. We get him to stand there like a statue again and just death stare the Richmond players during the national anthem.
Oh, geez, that worked well too.
Yeah, it did. I actually loved it because they put up a thing saying he's not going to play round one, and they said, well, so that's 2 games in a row you're going to miss. I was like, that's fantastic. All right.
That's another thing. Just the AFL with their how they're trying to dominate the media, and that's Thursday night. Where are they going to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I don't per se have a problem with Thursday night football. For me, if you got Thursday night football, Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, you play football every night of the week, and I'll be happy. The missus wouldn't be, but I'd be pretty happy to watch footy every night. But
true.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the right night to be, having the big, massive season opener.
Yep, completely agree with you there. We'll be back in a moment and we're going to discuss the Ellenbrook Rangers, and as we've already mentioned, they also are playing in a grand final this weekend, so I can't wait to give you those details. We'll be back after this.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, this is In the Sheds. If you've got something to say about the show or something happening in your community, contact us via Facebook. Back soon.
We will rock you. Everybody, we will rock you. We will rock you. All right.
Join me every Thursday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. on 88.5 FM, where the Valley comes alive, where I bring you the music from the 70s through the 2000s on Jimmy Will Rock You.
The Valley comes alive on 88.5 when we travel with Beryl License down memory lane every Thursday at 9 a.m.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter @TheSheds885.
That's right, you're back, you're in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter @TheSheds885, or you can send us a message on Facebook at the same address. We have already obviously thanked the Assassin and Jimmy for stepping in last week, but another shout out to Jimmy, whose promo we just played, because he did give us a CD to play a bit of music prior to the program. So a couple of our CDs that we usually play go on walkabout. So thanks for that, Jimmy. It was good to play some decent music prior to a program. No offence, Jazzler.
Jimmy's in everything now. He's got Jimmy Rocks You, Jimmy Will Rock You, and now
Jimmy in the Sheds.
Jimmy in the Sheds. But now you can wake up and eat your Cocoa Pops with Jimmy as well. His programs are rebroadcast as a breakfast program, so he's everywhere. He's a veritable community radio superstar.
That's it. Yeah, we need to... Actually, maybe we should change it. You know, with the footy tipping and the rugby tipping, you get a signed photo of Jimmy instead of us. People might actually want that, because he's actually the biggest star of the valley than we are.
Yeah, it's all right.
You okay with that, Jimmy? We know you're listening, mate. All right, let's talk about the Ellenbrook Rangers. Guys, they took on Forestfield. Again, this is another one where we've gone... They got no chance. Like, they're just making up numbers, and we're wrong. There's no delicate way to go about it. We're wrong, and they've beaten Forestfield. They will now take on Muchet in the grand final at home.
I believe it's pronounced Muchia.
Yeah, Muchia, Muchia. They're going to take on Muchia, and this one's interesting as well, actually, because Muchet finished top of the ladder. Muchet won last week against Ellenbrook and went straight into the grand final. Ellenbrook plays off against Forestfield, wins, but the grand final is going to be held at Ellenbrook. I don't know how that one works.
Yeah, that one doesn't... I mean, we're not too upset about that one, though.
No, that one's completely fine. Not even mad.
Just impressed.
# double standards.
Yeah. But we really... we sort of had a few blokes that were really gritty in the preliminary final against Forestfield. I mean, we were 5 for 42 in this game, and looked in a world of hurt. But it was blokes that sort of didn't get big scores, but just did enough, faced enough deliveries, and got us to a decent total. Brendan Morton top scored with just 28. But yeah, a few lower order players: Jamie Taylor 23 off 46, Bailey Saunders 27 off 43, and Hayden Sleeth even with 10 not out off 41 deliveries. Just sort of stuck around long enough to get us to 135, which is not a big total. It's a pretty small total, and Forestfield would have given themselves every chance. Darren Embry was their best bowler with 4 for 36, but Forestfield sort of got themselves into exactly the same spot as we did. So we were 5 for 42. They got themselves to the stage where they were 5 for 41. So there was a lot of parallels there. The only difference was that they weren't able to get those players sort of making those little contributions along the way. And they came up just 17 runs short, and we're through to the big dance.
Yeah, fantastic effort. Again, it will be this Saturday, Sunday, the 24th and 25th of March at the Ellenbrook District Open Space, or the DOS, as it's called. So make sure you get down there. I'm not sure what's the Rangers' colours are. Black and gold, really, aren't they? So
yeah, I
don't know. Black might
some green in there too, isn't there?
Yeah,
black might be a bit hot. But you make sure you get down there and show your support against Muchet. It's going to be a big challenge. I mean, you're going to have that psychological part where they've already beaten you only a couple of weeks ago. Again, it's a grand final. It's a completely different game, but Muchet have been an absolute powerhouse this season in that grade.
Yeah, I mean, really, there was not too much between them at the end of the season. There was only one competition point between these two sides at the end of the year. But you look at the runs scored, and Muchet's 836 more runs than us during the regular season. That's a fair whack more runs than what we've done. But we've been able to get some decent results across the year. The key for us is going to be Sean Saunders. Of course, so I mean he's averaging 55.8 with the bat and averages 10.6 with the ball. So if he's firing, that's a huge plus for us. And of course his son is Bailey Saunders is also he's grown as a player throughout this season. I don't think we'll see him playing in this grade too much next year. I think he'll be a lot in the top grade next year.
No worries. Now, Brucey, considering that Muchet, like with the run difference and everything like that, would you, if you win the toss, are you sending him into bat or are you having a crack first?
I'd be having a crack, mate. Against Muchie, you'd have to be trying to, runs on the board is what's going to be the scoreboard pressure, as they say, in finals. Get it done, and then, bring it on with the ball.
Yeah, it's sure to be an absolute cracking match. Again, so this is for the third grade, Ellenbrook Rangers versus Muchet. Really looking forward to this one. Like we said, we didn't really give them much of a chance. They've gotten into it. Now we've got to get behind them and show our support. Make sure you head down to the DOS. It's going to be great weather on the weekend as well. So it's another great grand final. We're really hoping that we'll be able to report on a couple of victories next week.
Well, I just want to quickly... is there any other cricket team that we've actually put the kiss of death on going into the finals? Because I think we roasted three teams, didn't we?
Oh, we definitely put the mock on the second grade at Swan Valley. They were dead set certs, and I think that both the women's teams at Middle and Guildford, we've hurt their chances.
Torched them.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm not giving a tip on this one.
We're no hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reverse psychology.
No, good.
That's
good,
it.
good. I just
Look,
want to know.
just out of the two, I think Muchet is going to be a very, very hard challenge. Swanath will be a very, very big game, and that'll be a hard game. But I think of the two grades, you'd prefer to be playing against Swanath in the A grade as the A grade team than playing against Muchet at the moment, because they've been playing phenomenal. Yeah, like they're always like you said, they're 800 odd runs ahead of everyone else. They've been batting phenomenal this year, and really hope that the boys can get up. Just kind of put it out of your head. Doesn't matter that they won a couple of weeks ago. Just get out there and get the job done.
Yeah, we want to get in there, knock over Lachlan Shulman nice and early. He's averaged 118.5 this season, so
that is
he's going okay.
Yeah.
So if we can get him early and prevent his influence with the ball, so we're averaging 13.2 with the ball as well. So both teams have got players that sort of do it with bat and ball. That are going to be key to their chances of victory. Knock him over early and hope Sean can have a big day out, I think. So that's our best chances. But, like you say, what was it, 97-run victory for him a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, it was a big victory. But, again, completely different game, completely different setting. Let's get out there and get it done. Good. And, again, one thing that we probably should say is congratulations to the teams anyway. You've made the grand final, so that's a massive effort, massive accomplishment to the season. And you guys should be proud already before you even march out there. Now get the job done, and hopefully, we'll be reporting on a few victories next week. All right, we'll be back in a moment, and we're going to talk about the West Coast Pirates and the senior trials.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter at TheSheds885.
If you enjoy a game of golf, get some friends together and come along to Checkers Golf Club Bullsbrook for 18 holes on our newly reticulated fairways. For the months of February and March only, green fees and buggy hire are at half our normal rates. Checkers Golf Club are offering a special membership rate at this exclusive, picturesque and friendly country golf club right here on your doorstep in the city of Swan. But get in quick as numbers are limited. For more information and bookings, give Brian a call on 9571 1277. Conditions apply. Station sponsor.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter at TheSheds885.
That's right, you are in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can send us a message on Facebook at TheSheds885. If you have an opinion on anything we've spoken about, I know Ollie's been sending a couple of messages about the suspension downgrade, and it's not so much about that, it's more about my comments on it, so we'll leave that.
Constructive criticism or just saying you're a spark?
Ollie's of the same opinion as you, that it doesn't matter the level of force or anything like that. The rules are the rules, and should have to accept it for what it is, and agrees with you what you're saying about the media.
Well, there you go. This is the first time for everything.
Well, he's either going to agree with you or agree with me, so I don't know. There's
okay, fair
that's
golf.
it. All right, the West Coast Pirates, Donny, how are we looking?
Yeah, I think the less time spent talking about the Pirates, the better.
Jesus.
So, I mean, the Pirates, they don't have a great record. You know, they haven't won a game at home since 2013. So it's been a long time since the home fans have seen them win a game. But in almost all those losses, they've put up some sort of fight. They've been, you know, respectable, and you know it's enough for you to be proud of the effort they put in. But they went into this game against the Balmain Tigers, who were down near the bottom end of the ladder. It should have been a game that we were capable of competing and maybe breaking that drought. But it didn't really turn out that way. 64 points to 0 in favour of the Balmain Tigers, who they couldn't believe how easy it was for them. To be fair, there's quite a few players out for the Pirates. We've got Tyler Hunt, Cade McDonald, Oliver Callan, Bowman Stein, Tamaho Tierney and Daniel Pataka. So that's six of their best players. Basically, Jackson Bond's their only top-line player that's still actually in the team. So if you take out 6 of the 7 best players from pretty much any team in any sport, they're going to struggle. But still, 64-0 is a little embarrassing.
Is that injury? The players being missing, or representative, or moved on, or
5 of them are injuries. One of them is a disciplinary reasons. He's had some issues with some of the coaches and let them know. He's been suspended for the rest of the season.
Open and honest discussions regarding. Okay, righto, yeah.
But I suppose the only highlight was we had a young debutant, Ty Souse. He had a Gordon Tallis-esque tackle on one of the Balmain Tigers winger was flying down the wing, and he came across in cover and grabbed him, ragdolled him, threw him over the sideline. It was a great tackle. Unfortunately, the scoreline was 60-0 when he did this, so it didn't really matter too much. But moving on from the Pirates, the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs had their second hit out, but their first official trial game on the weekend. First time they've played 2 senior teams, and the third grade team went really well, so they had a 20-16 win over the Kalamunda Bulldogs, which was good. They had to come from behind and worked hard to get that. The reserve grade team, though, so the first time we've moved up into reserve grade, we took on our good friends from the Junior Up Giants, and they were far too strong, so 30-8 they won that scratch match. So a bit of work to do over the next couple of weeks as we start to prepare for the season proper, which isn't too far away either.
Yeah, and we've still got the upcoming, speaking of the Junior Up Giants, we've still got that dinner function coming up. Have they dropped it down even more for us yet? Or is it...
Haven't done yet. Maybe that's what I'm waiting for. I haven't actually got my ticket yet. But Wednesday the 18th of April at 7 p.m, the Junior Up Giants Sportsman Dinner with special guest Darren Lockyer, possibly a future immortal, if not one of the greatest players to ever play the game. In any case, he's going to be the special guest. So,
what day was that?
It is Wednesday, the 18th of April.
I don't remember it being a Wednesday.
Apparently, it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit rough. Yeah. I remember. I don't remember it being a Wednesday. We would have picked up on that. Why would you hold a? I mean,
I don't know.
Lockyer could be here, like on the show. He might not even make it.
Bring him in. Yeah. Bring him in.
The greatest voice in commentary since Clint Eastwood.
Well, hopefully they'll have our show on in the background. Maybe I can go and do a live broadcast from there and grab Darren Lockyer and have a bit of a chat with him. But $120 per person. If you can get 10 people, it goes down to $110 each. So you get a full beverage package. So the drinks will run all night for a couple of hours. 2-hour drinks package, 2-course meal. For $120 per person. I think it's a pretty good value.
Yeah, and the West Coast Pirates next week taking on St George.
Yeah, so they head over east again, taking on the St George Dragons. I suppose still they've got a couple of players that are possibly coming back this week. So Ollie Callan is back Daniel Pataka. Well, they're both named. Whether they still end up travelling, but adding those two in, the Dragons, they're sitting third last on the ladder, so they've only won, I think, the one game this season, so they're not travelling all that well. But the way we went last week, it's difficult to say that they're going to be able to compete. I think the Dragons are improving. They were pretty competitive against Illawarra Steelers last week. But it's all experience for these kids heading over there and playing in the Sydney comp.
Just quickly, mate, a question without notice, because this probably relates to something else I've sort of been thinking about. That comp that the NRL are running, the West Coast Pirates compete in, how many rounds is the season?
It's a 9-round season.
Only 9?
So yeah, okay. It's a pre-season comp. So basically, the last round of the season is the first round of the local comp. So when the local comp starts, this competition finishes. So yeah,
so that'd be a pretty expensive. The reason why I raise it is, we've seen the static coming out of the AFL saying we're going to have a second-tier comp, and also soccer is looking at having a relegation sort of thing because they're thinking, the EPL, it's fantastic, we have relegation. So don't forget, we're on the other side of the country here. You've got to ship X amount of people from one side of the country to the other. Soccer may be okay because, it's still an expense, but AFL, NRL, how many people are going to be flying across the country? If you've got to do that 5 times, 4 times? Oh.
Yeah, and you're right. It's the expenses of it is always a big issue, and for the first time this year, they've been charging entry to get into the games. So it's $6 to get in, and obviously you got to pay for these things. So it's.
Look, I don't mind. It's just the little thought bubble that seems to be coming out of the AFL, which I say thought bubble because obviously that's all I've got.
Mate, it's a massive reason why in rugby league we don't have a national reserve grade comp either. And everyone wants it. You talk to any fan, they go, we want the old reserve grade back. It's like, well, no one watches it, and you've got to fly these teams all around the country, and it's just not logistically
possible.
Financially viable. It's there's no sponsors. No one wants to sponsor it because there's no coverage because no one wants to watch it. Yeah. So
these guys aren't
happen.
Professional. They're not fully paid professional players either. So they've got to basically stop work 2 days earlier if they're playing on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So they're basically got to fly Friday or earlier, and it just doesn't fly. And the other one, from an AFL point of view, is the detriment to the waffle or the sandful or any
of those competitions.
Where are they going to draw all of these players from to go and set up a second league? That's another one that's never going to fly. So anyway, sorry boys.
Ollie's just chimed in and said, Donnie, you can't go to that dinner because he doesn't think me and Brucey are capable of being able to fly the ship without you.
Correct.
Which
well spotted.
I'm not going to object to that comment. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk about the Ellenbrook Falcons.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donnie. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter at The Sheds 885.
If you're looking for a second vehicle or just want to update your existing vehicle, then visit the new dealership in Ellenbrook, Focus on Cars, located at 312 The Broadway, Ellenbrook. Focus on Cars have quality late model vehicles with the best range and prices. Trade-ins are welcome and finance and warranties are available. Focus on Cars also have replacement parts and tyres. Give Nevin at Focus on Cars a call on 0450 910 130. Dealer licence 25417. Station sponsor.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donnie on VCA 885 FM, where the valley comes alive.
That's right, you're in the Sheds. Hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885 or send us a message on Facebook. We're going to talk about the Ellenbrook Falcons. Donnie, the hockey is all going to be start firing up very soon.
Yeah, this weekend it all kicks off. The Ellenbrook Falcons, the men's team taking on the Joondalup Lakers at home. So plenty of local sport, and this is one of the, I suppose, the crossover week with AFL starting. We've got SBL, so the basketball, and the NPL and the soccer is already sort of underway. And now we've got the hockey, the local hockey starting as well. So the Falcons taking on the Joondalup Lakers. Should be a game based on, it's difficult to say in terms of recruitment and things like that, but in terms of where they finished last season, you'd expect us to get the job done in this one. So the Lakers finished 8th last season. We finished 5th, and we won their last meeting 4-2 with Alan Uey scoring a double. So, pretty good chances starting the season with a win.
We've only had a little bit of email contact with the Falcons, but we're looking forward to bringing you a little bit more update. I do know they've got a couple of junior sides, both men's and women's, and girls and boys. So once we get a little bit more information out of them, we'll bring you an update on when training starts. I do know they have had a couple of open days. So
Yeah, I know they do have women's teams as well, but I wasn't able to find their fixtures, so I'm not sure who they're playing or if they've started yet or whether they're a couple of weeks away.
That's all right. We'll chase them.
Yeah, we'll find that out. But if anyone out there from the Falcons, get in touch with us via the Facebook page or email or however you want to get in touch. So.
Yep, no worries. Okay, we're going to have just a quick 2-second break, and we're going to get around them.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter @TheSheds885.
Right, welcome back. We're going to get around them. Donny, I'll let you fire up first with this one on the Australian women cricketers.
Yeah, I mean, the Australian women cricketers basically doing what the Australian men have always struggled to do, and they've got a clean sweep in India. Of the one-day series, it was a really good effort from them. They pretty convincing in all 3 games as well. So, first game an 8-wicket win. India set just 200, so they didn't go that well with the bat. Jess Jonathan was really good with 4 for 30 off her 10 overs. I thought she probably should have got player of the match for that performance, but player of the match went to Nicole Bolton, who came and got 100 not out. In the second innings of 101 deliveries, so with 17.5 overs to spare, we were up 1-0. The second game, sorry about the turning of pages, but a 60-run victory to Australia in the second game. We made 9 for 287, and again it was Nicole Bolton that starred. She was the destroyer with 84. Elise Perry came in and knocked out an unbeaten 70 as well, with Beth Mooney doing some pinch hitting at the end, 56 off 40. India made 227, and Jess Jonathan again with 3 for 51 was the best of the bowlers, and then it was Alyssa Healy in the last game in the 97-run win, 133 off 115 deliveries.
Jesus, that's fantastic.
So the girls doing fantastically over there in India. They're about to start the T20 part of the series, but clean sweep through the one-days over there is, it's a fantastic effort.
Yeah, Nicole Bolton definitely picking up where she left off from with the Scorchers. She was in absolutely fantastic form in the 2020s, and she's hasn't skipped a beat going through there. Good to see her get a century, and looking at the stats, you'd probably say if she won best on... it'd be between her and Jonathan on who gets the player of the series, really, at this stage. Yeah, you'd have to think between the two of them.
You'd have to say with player of the match in 2 of the 3 games, and I know she missed out in the last one, but pretty. Well,
133 off 115's not a bad effort there. So, definitely think that she'd have to be taken away the honours there for player of the series, or it'd be Jonathan there for that one.
Yeah.
Just a question without notice: how did Villainy go?
I think she was injured.
Injured?
Yeah, she wasn't.
She got named.
Yeah, she wasn't. Didn't play in any of the matches.
Didn't play any
from memory.
Okay.
I don't have the full score sheet with me, but I know that she didn't play in the last game.
Okay.
I was looking for a name, but
this is a question without notice. So
yeah,
no worries. And Adam Desmond Binar basketball.
Yeah, this is one that I tagged you in. So he's.
I thought that was the one.
Yeah. So Adam Desmond, he's Perth bloke that's basically started up or set up a basketball court in his front yard, more or less, and fenced it all in, and just he's allowing sort of the community to come together, and some of these sort of disadvantaged kids, and he's sort of taken them in and through the power of sport as giving them other options. So he was saying that sometimes there'll be kids out there and they'll be playing until 11 o'clock at night, and playing basketball, and sort of keeps them out of trouble and keeps them off the street and gives them somewhere to go. And from there it has grown over time, and now that the Binar basketball team they've got junior teams that are actually in structured competitions, and it's all built up from him just looking to give back to the community. And I think it's it's a worthy bloke to sort of get around.
Yeah, I think we should put that link up on our Facebook page. It's a or I do remember you tagging me in that one now. But yeah, wonderful story to see someone. I don't think his wife would be too happy about it.
His neighbours playing basketball 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
He actually mentioned the neighbours in the interview that I saw with him, and he said they'd prefer that than the neighbours playing parties all night or something like that.
Well, it's a fair point, and they probably prefer it to them breaking in windows or breaking into houses or doing God knows what. They're instead playing basketball and having a good time.
Oh, the youth.
Yeah. It's a hard life sometimes, trying to find something to do. Right. I think we'll be back after this, and we're going to talk about Midland Guildford, the trifecta of grand finals.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny on VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive.
You don't know my kind.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter at The Sheds 885.
That's right, you're in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885, or you can send us a message on Facebook. We were going to talk about Midland Guildford, however, we have Claire Scullin from the Sports and Recreation who's going to has come in and going to talk to us. How are you, Claire? Jeez, that was hard to spit out.
Been
It's a really
talking
good
long.
start. I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me in tonight. I was just saying it's a lot cooler in here than it is waiting outside, but it's good.
It's certainly been a warm one today. I suppose one of the things that sort of brought you to our attention was the social media efforts from True Sport WA. So, what exactly is True Sport WA?
Okay, so True Sport is our latest advocacy campaign that Sport and Rec WA is actually running. It's based on a campaign that was run out of Canada, but what it was brought about in reaction to some challenges that has been brought up by the sport and rec industry, and basically they saw that there's a bit of a threat to the integrity of sport. So if you look at the ugly parent syndrome on the sidelines, drugs in sport, alcohol, how much we drink, all those sort of things, working with children checks, they just thought that people were forgetting about the importance of sport and the values that we learn while we're on the field, and when we're playing, we take off the field, and that's what we kind of do as community members. So we looked at what they were doing in Canada. It's been going for 17 years, so it's really successful, and kind of thought, why reinvent the wheel? Let's just skipify it and pick it up in WA. And so basically what we're doing is trying to share 8 different values that we think kind of represent everything that we live by, and get them into sport and rec clubs and make it part of their code of conduct, or just the messaging through the social media that we're doing, using the hashtags, and just getting everyone to start talking the same language. So if you've got a kid who plays basketball one season, then goes and plays cricket or netball or hockey, they're starting to hear the same messages and over again, and then so are the parents, and so are the coaches and the officials. So yeah, it's just an advocacy campaign out there for everyone to adopt the values and kind of have the same conversation and show how important sport and rec is to our community and what we do. Is that good enough?
Fantastic. Yes, so I mean, there's obviously a number of sporting clubs that we deal with here. Is it a matter of getting accreditation or something through True Sport, or they just adopt the values, as you say, in the code of conduct? And what clubs in our local area have already done that?
Asking me clubs off the top of my head. It's been extremely busy since it was launched, so I can't tell you. I think there's a football club up here, but yeah, I can't tell you off the top of my head local areas. It's not about accreditation. It's not signing up to anything. It's not you must do this, you must do that. It's basically how a club can pick it up and kind of work with it in their own way, shape or form. And we know that most clubs are run by volunteers, so we don't expect them to go out and do this massive campaign around True Sport. So what we've tried to do is give them the resources through our website and our social media that they can actually pick up and use, and they don't have to go out and reinvent anything, and depending on the clubs. So some of the smaller clubs have just taken 1 or 2 of the values for this season, and they're really pushing those messages through their clubs and their sports that they're doing, through to, if you look at the WA Footy Commission's actually totally on board with True Sport now. So their latest manual that goes out to 4,000 different coaches and managers actually is True Sport through the entire thing. Their code of conduct is branded True Sport. Everything that they talk about when they go out, their website's got True Sport banners and things on it. So they're using the message that way. Through to, we've got like ice skating has just given out their first True Sport award, so they've got a trophy that they give out to the person who's displayed the best values on the day at their competitions. Gymnastics is looking at naming their junior state team the True Sport team. So, and then some people are just giving out a weekly True Sport award for someone who's shown one of the values. So it's really a kind of not a one size fits all kind of thing. It's just best way you can share the messages, and whether it's, so we talk give back is one of the values. That's about volunteering. It's about how you can get people to volunteer, how you can thank them for volunteering, how you can recognise them, through to, include all. It's Harmony Day today, so the message that went out today was about including all and making sure that everyone's invited to play and has some fun.
So how are you actually getting this out into the sporting community as a whole? Like, whereabouts are you starting? Obviously, you've already outlined that you've already got the Football Commission, so it's starting obviously fairly highly up the food chain, but getting it out down to the lower levels into the community side of things, is it going to be something that the the lower clubs, like community-based clubs, are going to be able to just go on a website and pick up, because obviously cost, volunteers, everything else like that?
Totally. So our whole idea is we want it to be grassroots clubs at this point in time, but because I work for the government, and we look after at Sport and Recreation, we consult to the 87 state associations that look after all the clubs that come underneath them. So one of my jobs has been to meet with all 87 sports. I'm up to 57 of 87 in the last maybe 4 months, so it's been extremely busy, to talk about this is what's out there, but also just to give them a heads up that if they're not going to embrace it at a state level, their clubs might come to us and start saying we want to take it on. So Netball WA, for example, are now big supporters of us, but that started through Fremantle Netball Association, saw it on Facebook, went, this is something we really want to pick up because we're having a bit of a problem with the parent on the sideline issue at the moment. They thought that the True Sport messages would really kind of help to support what they were trying to do to change that culture. And so I've had presentations with them, with their clubs, sat down, given them some resources, showed them all the stuff on the website, and I share all their kind of good news stories through our social media. And so from that, we went to Netball WA and said, look, one of your clubs has really, or associations has really embraced this. This is where it's going. So they're kind of at the moment tossing up where they fit it in, but they will be embracing it as well. But that started from clubland, so it wasn't. Sometimes
so it is still accessible from
definitely
Eagles or the Ellenbrook Netball Association or anyone like that. So it's
totally
okay.
Yeah, we didn't want it to be just state association stuff. I'd much rather it was grassroots.
Starts at the bottom.
But obviously we have to engage with the state associations because that's our job. So,
Yep.
But they're really good too. So that's good.
So one of your one of the things that you mentioned during our correspondence was the True Sport ambassadors. Take us through the role of the True Sport ambassadors. What are some of the things that they're involved with?
Okay, so the ambassadors are pretty new at the moment. So we had a major launch. We started rolling out True Sport in about October last year, and that was just a soft launch through social media. So we just started sharing our messages, kind of encouraging people to get online, have a look at what we were doing. Then the major launch was on the 21st of February, so last month, feels like 4 months ago. Which was a big event at the convention centre, and it was part of an event that we put on, a parenting event. So we had a couple of speakers, one from America, and Troy Kirkham from WA Footy Commission was involved. And so we put True Sport on top of that because we thought parents were a brilliant kind of audience for us. And so from that, we kind of identified a couple of the sports and community groups who had already embraced it and been involved on social media, were sharing the messages and had really shown interest via email, phone conversations. So one of them obviously was Troy is one of our ambassadors because he goes everywhere and talks True Sport. So Troy Kirkham, WA Footy Commission, love him to pieces. Robin Cool from volleyball is another one. She's kind of embraced it. So from a state level, we've got Troy and Robin as our first two ambassadors. But then from a community-based level, we've got Joe Moniotis, who is from the Edmund Rice Centre in Bellajura. And he basically is running all these soccer activities for kids from all different backgrounds, refugees, etc. And so he started to pull it into their soccer games and share the messages that way. So we thought from a community group point of view, he'd be a really good ambassador. And then we've also got Bella, and you're talking about names before, how to say them. It's Ndieski, I think. Bella is this amazing girl. She's a refugee. She came to Australia about 10 years ago, I think, and from there just picked up AFL straight away. She decided that's how she was going to integrate herself into Australia, and just really has run with it. So she's now a hugely respected, she's only 19, but she's got her own little business going on. She speaks. She just went over to Canberra, I think, to meet with some politicians. But that has all come about from her involvement in AFL and with Edmund Rice Centre as well. So they're our ambassadors at this point in time. I'll just give you a bit of a heads up and an exclusive. We've actually got Sam Kerr from the Matildas coming in to film some videos for us on Friday. So she's going to be...
Sam Kerr is a
in the shed's favourite.
Yeah.
She's agreed to an interview with us as well.
Yeah.
While we're name dropping.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we were. We've got to.
I can't
We're
back
waiting
that
on
up either.
We're waiting for the
She
FFA.
responded to email we sent. That was just that.
Yep.
That's enough for us.
Yep. Happy to come on, but we need FFA to sign off on it, and they're dogging my calls now. So
Put in a good word for you.
yeah, make sure. Now, being a government department, how have you found funding for a program such as this?
To be totally honest, it took us about 18 months to 24 months to get it signed off, because advocacy campaigns, I guess, are slightly different to, say, if we were to talk Kids Sport, which is a funded program where people get up to $150 for their kids to go and play sport if they're on a healthcare card and that sort of thing. This is... People see it's just advertising. They think you're just going out and advertising something. But what we wanted to show is it's a long-term behaviour change program or campaign. It's about spreading messages and over the long term starting hopefully to see that there's a drop-off in that parent syndrome, or, you know, the amount of alcohol that's drunk at sporting events and things like that. So it took a lot of background work to do. Obviously, with budgets the way they are at the moment, we know with spending, you really have to kind of put the background work into it to show that this is something that the community should be spending money on. And obviously we think sport and recreation are pretty good at what we do. We think the programs that we put out there are embraced by the community, and we think that sport is one of those things that gives back to the community in so many different ways. You know, it's about being healthy, it's about mental health, it's about bringing people together so your community is connecting, it's about making sure your streets are safer because kids have got somewhere to go and to play and things to do. So it's not just about getting out and winning a trophy on the field, it's, you know, it's the whole community embraced together. So I think that's why we really got accepted and why we got some funding to get this out and running. We don't know how long that funding's going to go for. It's, you know, up in the air, but we're doing our best to make it as successful as possible in a short amount of time so that we can continue to kind of campaign.
So you mentioned Kids Sport there, which is another of your sort of key programs, and one that I'm sure a lot of families in our community are familiar with. Now, there has been some changes to Kids Sport over the last couple of years. Is there anything new to this year? Or?
No, I can't remember the date that it came out, but I think it would have been end of last year, start of this year. It used to be $200 per child that was given out. That's been reduced to $150 per child, and there's just a few extra checks and balances in place. Obviously, budgets the way they are, and just a few more checks to make sure the kids that are getting the money are the right kids that should be getting it, because it's there for those that are on health cards, etc., who, you know, financially can't afford to go and play a sport. So not really major changes other than that drop in the price, but anything else can be found on our website. We've got like copious amounts of information. We've got a whole team, a Kids Sport team, who answer phone calls and emails every day, so they're more than happy to take any kind of comments and discussion and things like that. So it's probably our biggest and most successful kind of program we've run. How long? I've been there for 10 years, so it's been maybe going 8 years now, and it's just something that the community really relies on, I think, so that's why it's continued to be funded. And
so do you have figures as to how many people actually use the Kids Sport?
Funny that, because Janelle told me some figures today, and do you think I can remember them? In lead up
Question
to
without notice. There you go.
She's like, do you want all this info? And I'm like, no, I won't ask that. Something like, in the last however many months that they track it, there was about 18,000 vouchers that went out.
Wow.
So that's a fair amount of vouchers that goes out. And so, you know, obviously that's why they had to look at, there was a finite budget for it, and then the number of people who were taking it up. So if we drop it down to 150, obviously we can get more kids involved. So we've still got the same budget, but we can now get more kids involved. So, yeah, 18,000 I think was the last
That's phenomenal. I mean, that amount of kids that might not have otherwise been able to play a sport, and then who knows what they'd be doing.
Right, exactly.
It's not a negative question. Well, probably depends. Depending on
well, that's a great way to start.
Have you got any pushback from the corporate world regarding this side of things, as far as from, say, alcohol sponsorship or anything like that, or
for True Sport?
Yes.
No, I don't think it's something that's out there to attack. Yes, you know, adult clubs, sporting clubs, having a beer.
Yeah, that's so from the adult side of things, there's, you know,
no, because
we see massive advertising and everything else, and then the little spot at the bottom says drink responsibly. It's like, come on, people, you know. So, yeah, you haven't
No.
No.
No pushback, because it's not. True Sport's not about the negative side of things. We say, the aggro parent or the drinking too much.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is that's like 2% of what happens out there.
Yes.
So what we want to talk about more is the positive side of things. So if we can get the other 98% being what people are talking about, so yeah, having a beer with your mates after kind of a game, drinking responsibly, then,
That's a very positive message that everyone should have out there anyway in the first place, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't want to take it to the negative side. We want to make sure people are talking positive, and so empowering them to say, like, you should be, okay, you've had a couple of beers now, you're driving, time to go, let's pack up. Or, the parent on the side is getting a bit loud and in your face. It's, hey, that's not True Sport.
Yeah, that happens, netball or anything else, and that, we've seen it at 8, even in the morning. Alcohol's not involved in that, obviously, but the reason why I did bring it up as well, because we spoke about it, is just from like the pokies in Melbourne, and just the actual input and the strength that gambling environment has on a sporting club, that there's pushback. They just go to going, anything that pushes people away from my pokies, and that's my revenue stream, they don't want to know about it. So.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
No, totally get it. But
we support what you're doing, but yeah, it is something we just sort of going. How can this person be out there saying we're a legal entity, and why are you attacking us? We're totally legal. So
yeah. Oh, look, if we get to the point that True Sport is such a major part of our community and what we do, and they start targeting us, then I think we've done our job well.
Yep.
So, if they start sitting up and going, hang on a minute, people aren't drinking as much after their sports game and we're blaming True Sport, then I think that's a benefit for us. But
they had the major guy on the pokies. He was on the afternoon Melbourne radio, and he was defending his program, and he mentioned, 5 years ago, Eddie Maguire was quite happy to come to my door and start begging me to stick pokies in here, so why all of a sudden are you attacking me now? So...
Yeah.
There you go. That was a great response. He probably didn't see it like that, but yeah, it was out there, dragged him out. So
now you've spoken about the values you're trying to instill on the clubs, and I can see them right in front of you. But just so for our listeners, would you like to go through what the values are? Because I think they're definitely worth reading out.
Yeah, cool. So basically, number one is have fun. Obviously, we're talking about grassroots kids sports predominantly here. So it's about having fun. It's a game, so enjoy it. Get out there and have a go, whether you're competing at different levels or you're just training together. Give back is our volunteering one. So it's about encouraging people to be volunteers, but also recognising those people, and whether they give up half an hour a week to cut up the oranges at a game, or they're the person that takes the shirts home and washes them, or they're a full-on volunteer who sits on a board and actually runs the whole place, which some of the smaller sports, that's what they are. They're all important regardless. Show respect. So that's for everyone. That's your teammates, it's the opposition, it's the officials, it's the parents on the sideline showing respect for each other, for the kids, for whoever's out there kind of getting in and having a go. Play fair, obviously be honourable, do the right thing on and off the field, play by the rules, do the right thing. Bring your best. So that's bringing your best to every game and enjoying the challenge, whether you win, lose or draw, because, talking about kids sport now that there's participation medals and that, but, learning to win and lose is kind of an important part of life, so understanding that is something we think is important. Include all is our inclusive one, so that's about making sure age, gender, race, whatever you are, you should be allowed to get out there and have a game of whatever it is that you want to be involved in, whatever the sport is, so giving everyone the opportunity to be involved. Be safe, so that's on and off the field as well. So that could be anything from, if you're playing soccer, making sure you wear your shin guards and your mouth guard and that sort of stuff, so safety equipment, through to looking after your fields and your pools and your courts, etc., making sure that everything's neat and tidy, that there's no water spilt on the court, through to that sort of simple thing. So that's kind of your be safe, and then be healthy. Everyone kind of understands that being outside or indoors and playing a game of sport and doing physical activity is, beneficial for your physical and mental health, so both sides of it. So they're your 8.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned that there was another program that we haven't spoken about yet. I can't remember the name of that one. But,
every club. So every club's a new one, so forgive me, I'm kind of reading some stuff about this myself. No, so every club's come back from, for a number of years, we've had club development officers based in all the local governments, and things are changing a little bit based on some kind of consultation we did with the industry and with volunteers and with the local governments about, are they providing what you guys need to kind of support clubs to run in the best way that they possibly can. And from that, we realised that clubs were coming to our development officers or coming straight to us going, well, I don't know how to write a media release, I don't know where to get a policy on working with children check, I don't know how to write a policy for my treasurer, my code of conduct is out of date, bookkeeping, how to do a social media campaign, that sort of stuff. So they were being sent off in all different areas. So, you could go to Play by the Rules to talk about working with children and stuff, or you might go to Sport and Rec, to our digital team to find out how to run a Facebook campaign. So what we kind of figured from all that consultation is that wouldn't it be great to have a hub where everything is available, where you can get sent off. We're not, like I said before, reinventing things. It's like, okay, I want to know about working with children and safety. So we'll go working with children and safety, go to Play by the Rules. This is the link, click it. So every club's basically an online hub, and it's where people will be told to go to find out absolutely anything and everything. Resources will be available for download on that as well. So it takes a bit of the kind of, when you Google something, you end up with 400,000 different things popping up. You're not sure which one to go with. It's basically the ones that we think should be recommended as the correct way to run your club, kind of the best practice. And so that's being made available to everyone. So once that's up and running, which I think it might have just been launched, but yeah, so every club's kind of just a one-stop shop for people who want to know how to run a club or need some help.
That's fantastic, and I think the most amazing thing is that you're a government department and you're not reinventing the wheel. That's probably the hardest bit for me to fathom at the moment. It's like, oh, we found something that works and we're going to leave it that way.
Oh, well, Sport and Recreation, we're now part of Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries. Is, like I said, I've been there for 10 years and it's a very, very small department, but we punch well above our weight. It's great now that we've been brought into local government because we work a lot with the local government, so the collaborative aspect of it is good for us and it's giving us access to kind of more resources and staff. We also have the Aboriginal History Unit, the Office of Multicultural Interests, Racing, Gaming, Liquor and Culture and the Arts have all come together. So we now have these opportunities to show sport is such a major part of our community, but we've got all these extra areas now that we can tap into. So, people go, arts and culture and sport. We did a massive program with them last year called Sneakerheads. So the art gallery had a campaign, an exhibition that came over from America, first time outside of America, and it was basically all these different sneakers through the ages. So from, the very first pair of running shoes that were ever made through to some of LeBron James kind of shoes and stuff like that. And so what we did was co-promote that and do some competitions to get people to realise that, hey, I can go and look at a piece of artwork on the weekend after I played my soccer game, or that sort of stuff. So the way that we can collaborate now, being a bigger department, is obviously going to help us to keep punching above our weight and make sure that we kind of keep serving the community.
So we could officially get you to have like a government ruling on what is a sport and what's not a sport.
No, I'm not getting into that conversation. If you want to talk about that, you can go to one of our consultants and visit info@dlgsc.
Write it down. We need to go there because sport, not a sport, is...
That almost got us fired.
Yeah. And I've got it written down here again for later on in the show.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, we got our first complaint because of that segment.
I'm not getting involved in that one then.
No, that's all right.
Okay, Claire, lastly, how do we get in touch with you? What's the best, if we want some information about True Sport, where's the best place for us to go?
So number one stop would be truesport.com.au, the website. From there you can hit our email address, which is truesport at, this is the hard bit, dlgsc.wa.gov.au. So better to go just to the website. Or obviously Facebook, True Sport WA, Instagram and Twitter. We're on all of those with True Sport WA. And I monitor those all day, every day. So anything that comes through, you'll probably get a response directly from me.
No worries. Any last questions, guys? No?
No.
Yeah,
thank you very much for coming in.
Programs.
It's been, looks fantastic. We'll,
Pleasure. We were very excited when we got the call. We're like, oh, this is going to be great fun. So thanks for having us.
I hope we haven't disappointed. And
I used to work with Simon Beaumont, so...
Good old Bowie. Bowie, yeah, we go way back, Bowie. I've spoken to him a couple of times on the drive home, so I've got to whinge about
it was an open, honest conversation regarding...
Yeah, it's usually just whinging about whatever topic he's brought up.
Yeah,
so.
right.
I've heard 6PR is a little bit bigger than this too.
Really? Slightly, slightly bigger. Thank you very much for coming in, Claire. Absolute pleasure. Love the what you've talked about. The program, it sounds fantastic, and hopefully a lot of our clubs are getting on board with it, especially at our grassroots and our junior level. It would be great to see these type of values come through.
Yeah, well, if they contact me and kind of, I say sign up, but it's basically you sign up for the newsletter just so I know that you're involved. Mention the show and I might see what I can do with some extra posters or things like that.
Oh, there we go. Mention in the sheds and you might get looked after. not by us, but...
We'll give you some of our promotional gear that we've got.
Yeah.
That's a cricket.
I know, there's a cool calendar back there. A couple of signs.
I would love to have you back anyway later on.
Yeah, pleasure. That'd be great. I'll find out some more about some clubs from up here and we can have a chat and see what they're up to and how they're kind of getting on and promoting true sport. And
it'd be great to see in a few months' time exactly how it's going. I mean, you've still got, 27 clubs to sporting codes
30
to get,
sports to get
30 sports to go to. So we'll have to get in touch once you've got to them all and see how it's all going.
Yeah, cool.
No, thank you very much for coming in, Claire. Absolute pleasure. We'll be back after this.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, this is In the Sheds. If you've got something to say about the show or something happening in your community, contact us via Facebook. Back soon. This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny on VCA 885 FM, where the valley comes alive. Now it's time to turn up the heat in the sheds. It's Blowtorch.
That's right, you're in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885. You can send us a message. Thanks again to Scullsy. She just informed us that that's apparently her nickname from Bowie. So yeah, thanks Scullsy. Love it. I wish she told us that story prior to coming on. So anyway, we're going to get into the Blowtorch. We'll also welcome the Assassin. How are you, Ollie?
Good, boys. How are you?
Good, mate. Thanks for stepping in last week. And yeah, we've still got a job, so you did all right, but obviously not that well. So, right.
What was it called? Shawnee. What's going on?
Shawnee.
Shawnee.
It's a new one.
So basically, in 15 minutes, you got your first name called more than probably what ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, he's great. Old Jimmy, get stuck into it. Might need a lesson in here so you can see how professional he is.
Oh, I don't. Professionalism isn't anything that I'm going to learn, mate. I think that ship sailed a long time ago. Right, let's get into it now. We're going to talk about Gavrilova, and for those who aren't aware, the Richmond Premiership Trophy did a bit of a tour, as it does, before the unveiling of the first round. And Gavrilova did a bit of a joke photograph where she had it in certain places in her house. I don't know how she got hold of it, but she had it in her house, and she's basically taken a couple of joke photographs, like she was using it as a washing basket, and a few other like kind of joke photos, which were obviously jokes. The Richmond community lost their goddamn mind. They are... I don't know what to say about this. The comments were absolutely pathetic. There are people calling for this girl to be killed.
I haven't seen this one, so you're gonna have to enlighten me here. But are we talking tennis player?
Yeah. The tennis player. She had the Premiership Cup. Apparently, she lives with someone that works at Richmond, so she brought the trophy home.
She's very good friends with Mike Sheen's daughter.
Compared to what other photos have been going out with Richmond memorabilia and stuff like that. Get over it, people.
They're saying that it's disrespecting the trophy. I mean, if you can't tell me that after the grand final that thing wasn't filled with all manner of alcohol and having people drink from it, but Gavrilova putting some washing in it is disrespecting the trophy. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I think that we're overlooking the point is, why are they just handing it around and it's in anybody's house, you know what I mean? It's their first one since, 1980 or something.
Yeah.
And, they're just handing it around like it's a glass from the pub that they've stolen. Here you go, you can take it this week.
Although I do remember a Mad Monday where we ended up at the same pub as the team that had won the Waffle Premiership that year, and somehow we ended up with the trophy, and it was on the front pages of the newspapers and all that sort of stuff, and we did a dump and run past Waffle headquarters to drop it back.
Subiaco, I think might be the team you're looking for. They lost it.
Well, we were the ones that stole it. I was wondering what that was on your mantelpiece when we came over the other day. So it
does happen.
You're right. I mean, for one, you're going to parade it around like a beer mug and then complain that someone took a funny photo with it. You're a muppet. Like, you're an absolute moron. All of you, everyone that's commented on it, that it was actually serious about causing harm to this person or how she's disrespected the AFL and the club and everything like that, you are a moron.
Well, it wasn't just the fans commenting on social media either. No. It was people within the Richmond Football Club that were demanding that the photos be destroyed and deleted and taken down. This wasn't just fans on Facebook and the...
Not just trolls.
The idiot trolls sort of losing their mind. This is the Richmond hierarchy being absolute snowflakes over nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, agree.
Right, we'll move on to the next one. Jesus Christ, one job, mate.
Media professional,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, that's it. Showing your professionalism, mate.
That's why he fits in on this
Giving
show.
out all the opportunities now, haven't I?
Right. Caro Wilson, Damien Barrett. They're not two of my favourite people, and anyone who's friends with me on Facebook would know that because there's usually a regular bashing of either of them. Two separate incidents. First one for Carolyn Wilson, one of her new cronies, I couldn't even remember the Peanuts name, but he's released a story just prior to round one saying that Luke Dalhouse was trade bait for the Western Bulldogs. Now, let's be honest, if Luke Dalhouse was trade bait, every club in the AFL would have been going for him because he's an absolute superstar. Beveridge has come out and said, that is an absolute crock, show me your evidence, that is absolutely, you have made that story up. Carolyn Wilson has had the audacity to jump in there and attack Luke Beveridge's credibility. I can't speak tonight. Attack.
Aren't you working?
Yeah.
You've been drinking?
Is it basically she's had a go at him saying that, he's just making up excuses and who's going to believe him over a journalist? Oh, who indeed? Who indeed?
Everybody.
Yeah. Secondly, Barrett has put two coaches on notice. Now, we'll overlook the fact that one of those was Brendan Bolton, who's been doing an amazing job with Carlton and has only been there for a very short time frame. That is the equivalent of us putting the A-grade Ellenbrook Rangers coach on notice. No one cares. We're a bunch of muppets that sit in a radio booth and talk crap about sport. No one cares what you think, Barrett, mate. And the sooner you realise this, the sooner everyone's going to be a lot happier and stop telling you to get off the program. When are they going to sack this moron?
I'm putting Damien Barrett on notice.
Good work.
Jeez, that's going to put him... that's going to be... He's on notice now. He will know.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for his sliding doors segments to come back on the AFL website.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of a response. I do hear this one, and that was... how could anybody know what actually happens in the back rooms of AFL trade talk coming into the trade period, So, that's how they defended that position about saying that Liberatore or anyone else was on the table. Guess what? That means, they could be walking in saying, what's Nat Fyfe doing? Is he on the table? There you go. It's been mentioned in a trade talk conversation, and somehow that becomes a media release or a press. It would never happen, but that's how they justified their story by saying it could have happened.
Well, I have to question the relevance and the timing of the article, considering we're about to start round one.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Give me a spell.
Yeah.
No, flog.
Yep. I'm happy. Yep. Right. Take
Nailed.
that.
Yep.
Caro's arrow got turned back on her.
Yeah.
All right, Ollie.
Yes.
Yeah, the assassin.
All right.
What have you got for us?
I mean, I've got a couple of quick ones tonight to get you boys back on your timing here.
Mate, it's just a guide, mate. It's just a
The
guide.
first one I wanted to have a go at is the Western Bulldogs' defence of their captain. I know you touched on about it before. This is in the women's league. She'd obviously been rubbed out for this grand final, and they've appealed that last night, and they've gone in with the defence. Basically, this is what their whole defence was based on, that she should be allowed to play because otherwise it'd be a kick in the guts to the Bulldogs after what happened to Bob Murphy in 2016.
That is just fantastic.
And I'm just
that is
thinking,
poetry, mate. That is...
If you're going in with that as your main defence, you got no hope of winning. You might as well not even bother. I mean...
I saw when you tagged us in that, and I thought that was the joke defence. That I thought their defence must have been pathetic, so someone had actually made up a joke defence and said, "Oh yeah, guys, why don't you use this one instead?" I didn't realise that was actually their defence.
No, that's they have gone in, and that it's not their whole defence, obviously, but it was a part of their defence that it'd be demoralising for the club to have that happen again after 2016.
One of the things that I found funny about it is they brought in a medical expert witness, and he sat there and didn't do anything. They didn't use him. They didn't ask him any questions. They brought in this medical expert to say that, well, she wasn't hurt, there was nothing in the tackle, blah, 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 and didn't use him at all.
No. Well, he was probably there to give expert evidence on how depressed the players would be if she didn't play. And then when they saw where their defence was going, they were, "Oh, you just sit down, love. You just sit down, Doc. We don't need you."
They brought their tackling coach in as well. Didn't bring him into the conversation either. They just, it was bizarre. All of the top guns, and they've gone for the lamest.
They've basically gone in front of the judiciary and just gone, oh, come on, please.
Yeah. Give us a fair crack.
They didn't. That was the thing I couldn't work out, is they didn't actually try and defend her for the actions or the severity or the what's name. They just trotted out that it'd be a travesty because, Bob didn't play last grand final. Come on, fellas, don't.
That is fantastic.
If anyone can update us, I do know she has appealed again.
She is appealing. I think it's going to be heard tomorrow.
Is it today? Or
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
It? Yeah. So
I can't wait to see this defence.
Oh, where are we going to go?
I think
Chewbacca does not make sense.
They need to get the South African defence team over
Roberto.
here, and then they might be in with a good chance. And speaking of cricket, that's the other one that I've got to mention. On the weekend, they had a 4-day match in New Zealand, the equivalent of our Sheffield Shield. Auckland were playing Canterbury. Canterbury batted for the best part of 2 days, scored 6 for 485 declared. One of their batsmen, 210, career best. Their wicket-keeper, 118 ball century. Declared before the end of day 2, had Auckland in all sorts of trouble. Auckland came out, faced 3 overs the next day. One of their batsmen got hit in the head and they decided at 6 for 66 that the pitch was unplayable and it was time just to abandon the game. They elected to walk off the field. The umpires called them back. They bowled one more ball. The batsman just lobbed a little one to gully and got caught out. And the umpires went, we'll abandon this game. The pitch is unsafe. So
how come one team make nearly 500 runs and the pitch is unsafe?
Exactly. That's the thing I want to know. I mean, I haven't seen footage of this, but apparently one batsman got hit with a quick rising, lifting ball on the morning of day 3. Elected to walk off. The umpire said, no, you come back. He hit the next ball basically to gully, just lollipopped it up. Looked at the pitch and the umpires went, yeah, you're right. Pitch is unplayable. Let's walk off. So, Canterbury have really got stuck in, saying that Auckland basically sore losers, couldn't see themselves winning the game, didn't want to lose outright, so basically went, let's go for the abandoned game and split the points.
So was a grand final, wasn't it?
I don't think it was a grand final. It's must be one of their last rounds or something. Not even sure of the positions on the ladder. So maybe it was Auckland. Hold on, if we lose this outright, our season's done. If we get an abandonment, we're in the final. Maybe it was something like that. So
abandoning game also means that the players' stats don't count, do they?
Yeah.
So sorry, mate,
score.
You didn't get 210.
You didn't get 210.
It didn't happen, mate.
Like that. I just found it really hard to believe, as you said, that you can score. One team can declare for 485, and then basically the morning after, it's declared unplayable.
That's that's a good one. That's a ripper.
Ouch.
Spuds.
Yeah.
Done. So that's my rant for this week. So there you go.
Righto. Well, we'll be back in a second, and I think we should talk about Midland Guildford and then do our footy tipping. Maybe we'll get around to it. All right, we're back after this.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, this is In the Sheds. If you've got something to say about the show or something happening in your community, contact us via Facebook. Back soon.
G'day, Graham Ross with the Autumn Garden Clinic. When it comes to vegetables, fresh is best, and homegrown vegetables are even better because, well, you can plant the exact quantity and the variety your family want to eat. So there's no waste. Any surplus can be frozen or, better still, shared with friends. At home, you can grow the really best domestic varieties, not the ones commercially grown that ripen in a box on the back of a truck. In your garden, you can harvest them at their peak of flavour, nutrition and ripeness. For seed sowing and seedling planting, right now try lettuce, onions, silver beet, English spinach, broccoli, beetroots, leeks and cabbages. If you have a sunny protected spot on your veranda, grow them in polystyrene fruit boxes. When you combine warm weather, good soil preparation, manuring and fertilising, vegetables grown now will crop over the next 3 to 4 months. Till next time, good gardening from Graham Ross and the Autumn Garden Clinic.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny on VCA 885 FM, where the valley comes alive.
That's right, you're in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885. You can send us a message on Facebook if you've got an opinion on anything, or if you just want to say that Damien Barrett's a flog, then write in and let us know. Yeah, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying some people might say that and message it into us. That's all.
That'd be gladly received.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Midland Guildford. We don't want to miss out, basically, in talking about the fact that we've got 3 grand finals this week, and the 4th grade, they've gotten in. They've got the grand final, and I believe it's against South Perth.
It is against South Perth. Again, South Perth finished top of the ladder, so it's going to be a very, very tough ask against them. They took on the team that finished 6th, Bayswater Morley, and it was a really tough, hard-fought game, and it ended up a draw, which we don't see too often in the 2-day games. But they weren't able to get through and get the wickets that they needed, and because we finished higher on the ladder than them, we go through to the grand final and they're out. So it's a tough pill for them to swallow. Sort of sneaking into the finals and playing so well, they knocked off South Perth in the first round of the finals, and then have a draw against us, and that's their season done. But I suppose you do that to yourself by finishing that low on the ladder.
That's it. Just play better next time. Just win. Well, it's just easier.
Yeah.
South Perth going to be an absolutely massive, massive task. They've been phenomenal all season. It's going to be a very, very big ask.
Yeah, South Perth. I mean, whereas we really had to fight sort of tooth and nail to survive, to get the draw, they did it pretty easily against Joondalup. A pretty easy 7-wicket win. So look for a firing opening spell from Liam Johnson. He had Joondalup in all sorts of trouble. He had him at 3 for 1, so picked up 3 wickets very early on in the piece. And Joondalup were really up against it after that. And if we can combat his opening spell, then we'll be in a pretty good spot to go on and hopefully go pretty well. For us, we'll want better from Luke Jensen than we got last week. He's taken 25 wickets at 14.9 this season, but last week bowled 9 overs, none for 57, so he's been probably one of our key bowlers. But he got tapped around and didn't get any wickets for his trouble last week. So, if we can get him back and firing at his best, that'll be a big help for us against the team that is top, and they're top for a reason. They're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, where's the game being played for that one?
Good question.
I'm going to say South Perth, because it's not going to be at Lilac Hill.
No, it's not. And of course...
Go with South Perth.
Yeah, we'll go with South Perth. Definitely South Perth. I knew that all along.
Yeah.
And the women, they played 2 grand finals. Both the A grade and B grade played the 50 over and 40 over grand finals respectively. Unfortunately, both teams went down to Melville. Lost by 58 runs in the B grade. It was our own Sophie Brown who really sort of fought really hard towards the back end. We were bowled out for a total of 84, but Sophie faced more deliveries than anyone else in that team. Now, she only got 9 runs, but faced 45 deliveries and sort of really dug in and worked hard to try and get us somewhere near the total. But unfortunately, still fell 58 runs short. She was the last one out. And in the A grade, we got absolutely thumped by 114 runs, again by Melville, so good job to them. They've won both those grand finals, and the 4th grade team's our last chance to get a bit of silverware this year for Midland Guildford. Yeah,
it just goes to show with the women's comp, it has kind of been Melville and Midland Guildford for the entire competition, so there's obviously worlds apart between the A and B grade women's and the other teams.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, it's a big deal for Melville. In the A grade, they were probably one of the better teams, but somehow just missed out on the finals in the 2020 competition, and we lost the final in that one as well. I think that was to South Perth. So it's been a tough year for the girls in terms of heartbreak. They've been one of the best teams all season, and when we get to the finals, the grand final, and that's when we decide to save our worst for those days, unfortunately.
Well, let's hope South Perth does that this week for us, and we'll be pretty happy with that. Right, we'll be back in a moment. We're going to get through our tipping.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, this is In the Sheds. If you've got something to say about the show or something happening in your community, contact us via Facebook. Back soon.
Radio VCA 88.5 FM are inviting its listeners to give us some feedback. Head to our Facebook page and take 5 minutes to take a very quick survey. The survey is open until the end of March. Thank you for giving us your feedback.
Join Davey every Sunday 4 to 6 p.m. on Radio VCA 88.5 FM for his show Blues in the Valley. If you're a fan of the blues, 88.5 is the place for you.
This is In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny on VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive.
That's right, you're in the Sheds. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Sheds 885, or you can send us a message on Facebook. We're going to get into our tipping. What would you like to start with there, guys? Do you want to get into the rugby, or do you want to get into the AFL?
We'll start with the rugby. You talked about grand final rematches in being the way that you'd like to see the season start, and we've got one of them in the round 3 Thursday night game between the Melbourne Storm and the North Queensland Cowboys. Surprisingly, both teams last round losers. In Melbourne, how do you boys see this one going?
Oh, I've got to go with my beloved Cowboys.
I'm on Melbourne just because...
that's your team, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I had to pick one, so but I figure after what they basically dished up last week,
mate,
surprise loss. So
I'm going to go with you because you are a rugby league savant. 7 from 8 last week. 7 from 8.
And it wasn't even the one who let me down was Melbourne.
Yeah.
And they were an absolute shoo-in, and I want to kill absolutely every radio...
Giant killing West
Giant
Tigers.
killing, and they just basically... All the radio producers got on there. It was early fake news, and that was, Billy Slater never loses his milestone games. He won his first game, and he won his 50th, and he's won his blah, 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 and they continued on. It was like, commentator's curse is coming, get off the bus. No, but they kept rolling through.
How do you see this one, Ollie?
Storm will bounce back this week.
Yeah, I'm going the same way. I think the Melbourne Storm, just because they're at home, I think it'll be a great game of footy, though.
Yeah.
The next one is the Friday night game between the Canterbury Bulldogs and the Penrith Panthers. The Panthers, 2 weeks in a row now, have given teams a 14-point start and come back to win. So they're 2 from 2. The Bulldogs are yet to win and were beaten pretty easily last week.
Penrith for me, mate.
Yeah, I'm going the Panthers as well.
Penrith.
And that's unanimous. All right, the other Friday night game is the Giant Killers, the West Tigers. They head home for this one. I think it's in Campbelltown, and they take on the Broncos. The Broncos themselves, they bounce back after losing round 1 to record a pretty good win over the Cowboys last week.
Now, I've got the Tigers, but I didn't know where Campbelltown was, so I'm trying to...
Yeah, it's in the western suburbs of Sydney, so it's the Tigers' home game.
Okay, right, I've gone the Tigers then. That's what I wanted to know, was who was the home team, so...
I've gone the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm with Ollie on that one. I think the Broncos will bounce back and will win this one over the Tigers.
Yeah, I find it hard to back against the Tigers. They've beaten the premiership favourites and the defending premiers in the last 2 weeks. Until they show me otherwise, I think I'm going to keep tipping them.
The only reason I wanted to go the Broncos versus, or where the home game was, is Wayne Bennett. There was no way he was going to back it up after his first round absolute garbage that his team served up. So continue on.
Well, the first game on Super Saturday is the Canberra Raiders, they're the second best attacking team in the comp, and they're yet to win a game. So they're at home, and they're taking on the New Zealand Warriors, who have been probably the surprise packet for the start of the season, winning both their first 2 games. This is probably their most challenging opponent, though, so far.
I'm on the Kiwis here. They haven't, they haven't let me down yet. So while they're still rolling, I'll see if I can get them to lose a game.
Right, I hope you can, because I picked the Raiders.
Yeah, no, I can't pick a Raiders team, so I'm going to go with the Kiwis.
Well, I'm on the Raiders as well, so it's me and you all. I think at home, the Warriors tend not to travel all that well. I'm going to go the Raiders to get their first win of the year there. The next Saturday game is the struggling South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the Manly Seagulls. Manly, of course, really gave it to Parramatta last week, 54-0. After a first-round loss, it was a big turnaround from Manly.
I've got to go Manly on this one.
Oof. Unfortunately, I'm going with my heart here a little bit. I'm a little bit of Rabbitohs fan, so I don't know how they're going to find their way back, but...
Yeah, I've gone with the Rabbitohs as well. Which so far I think I've picked the last three roughies, so it shows how much I know about rugby league.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it with a leg in the air here, mate, trust me.
7 from 8 last week from this bloke. So
meant it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Manly. I think, they were too good last week, and I think they'll be too good for the Rabbits, so I think
they're going to be tired. They're going to be tired from running in so many tries. They're going to be tired.
Well, the next one I think is probably the toughest game to pick. The two teams that haven't won a game, but two teams that most people would have had pushing for the top 4 at the start of the year. The Parramatta Eels taking on the Sharks. The Sharks, they only just lost last week to the Dragons. The Eels, of course, thumped last week.
I've only got the Sharks.
You're going the Sharks?
Yep, I've gone the Sharks.
Yeah, I think the Eels are specials this week. So often you see it particularly in rugby league, as when a team gets thumped like that, the very next week, for some reason, they come out and they prove all the critics wrong. So I'm going the Eels.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eels as well on this one.
Well, it's a surprise that one. All these games are split so far, just about. The Titans on Sunday take on the Dragons. The Dragons have started the season pretty well. The Titans, they were pretty impressive in round 1, but seemed to really... They lost their halfback just before kick-off last week and struggled against the Warriors over there.
Yeah, Dragons for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dragons as well.
I've only got Dragons.
Well, you know I'm going the Dragons, so...
Oh, there we go. There it started.
That's our second unanimous one. And the last game of the weekend is the Sydney Roosters. They're 1-1. They're still the premiership favourites, though, and they take on the so far unbeaten Newcastle Knights.
I'm with Sydney.
Roosters.
Yeah, I got to go the Roosters.
And another unanimous one to finish, so the Roosters for me as well.
No worries. All right, you'll have to send me a photo of that so I can remember what I tipped.
Because you haven't done yours yet, have you?
I did last week because I did it before I left, so... but I haven't done them yet. Right, let's move into the AFL. The Richmond Tigers in the opening match against the Carlton Blues at the MCG. The unveiling of the Cup. How are we going with that one, Brucey?
I'm actually going for Carlton. So there's a little bit of an interesting one there. I don't know whether or not Richmond are going to be able to actually get their heads out of the change rooms. And I think we're going to have a little bit of a premiership hangover because, Western Bulldogs certainly did it last year, and watch out. And Carlton do have that. As much as they didn't finish the year off very well last year, they had nearly 6 or 7 first rising star nominations from last year. So I think they're going to be a team on the improve. So watch out for round 1. So I've gone Carlton.
Big game this one. I mean, it's the premiers against the unofficial JLT premiers for me. But I think Richmond will get the job done. I've got them winning by 10 goals. So.
Yeah, I've got to go the Tigers. If the Tigers do lose, they'll be 40 points in front and then lose because that's the true Tiger spirit.
You and I have seen this happen.
Yeah, we've actually seen it happen at a Carlton versus Richmond opening match as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I've gone Richmond by 3 goals, though. So not the big win that you expect, Donny, but I still think they'll get over the line.
All right, we'll move on to Friday night match, the one that really counts. Essendon versus the Adelaide Crows, who will be without their captain, Tex Walker, who, let's be honest, tore shreds off us last season. Probably great to see him missing out. Well, I think you know I'm tipping for this one. Yep. So, me and Bruce here with the black and red.
Nah, Adelaide.
Yeah, I know you said last week, Ollie, that you've got Adelaide as being a real premiership threat this year, and I've got them as the sliders for me. I think they made the grand final last year. There's not too much further to go up. I think they're going to go down. I think Essendon will get the better of them in this one.
It'll be interesting to see how the new recruits pan out. Obviously, JLT, they didn't play much footy as far as that went, but it'd be interesting, to see how it goes. And no Jake Lever in the back line, no Tex Walker up front, but they've got quite a bit of depth, so I can't say.
Crouch in the midfield's massive loss.
Yeah, so we're pretty happy with all that. So on to the Saturday first game, St Kilda versus the Brisbane Lions at Etihad. I reckon Brisbane's going to be an absolute force this year. I'm going to be tipping Brisbane.
Did you say that with a straight face?
I did, actually, yeah. I think Brisbane's going to be the one to watch out for. I don't think they're going to make the 8, but I think they're going to be that side that's going to take down a few of the sides that think they should be walkovers, if that makes sense.
No. St Kilda for me, my friend.
Saints.
Yeah, for me, this is another one where I just like to go against pre-season form. St Kilda have been battered from pillar to post for their form during the pre-season. I think it means absolutely nothing, and they're going to come out in round one and show that it means absolutely nothing. I think St Kilda will beat the Lions.
No worries. On to the Power versus Fremantle Dockers at Adelaide Oval. How are we going with that one?
Yeah, I think Freo are looking a much improved team, I think, in 2018, but I think it's always a difficult trip going to Adelaide. I think Port Adelaide in a pretty tight one.
I've got Port as well. Nothing much else, but I think Fremantle will probably take the pre-season or take the first round probably a lot more serious than what they did last year, and that's it does set a standard for how your season runs. So they got smashed first round last year. So
yeah, well, I think Owen's going to show his ugly head once again for the Fremantle fans. Sorry, Ollie. It's until they recruit James Hird to scout the other teams for them. So once that's under, they might start winning some games.
Yeah, no, I've gone Port.
You've gone Port.
Yeah.
He wants to win. He wants to win this signed photo, mate.
I go in the footy tipping competitions to win. I don't go in with my heart. I go in with my head.
The signed photo of Jimmy, that is. So we changed it. Changed it today.
Stepped it up,
Mr. VCA. All right, we'll move on to the Gold Coast versus North Melbourne Kangaroos. I mean, if this is not a Who Cares Cup, what is?
The early season battle for the wooden spoon.
Yeah. I'm going to tip the Gold Coast because it's at home, and North Melbourne, this is the one game where you're like, who do you tip?
I didn't even know where it was being played.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Can I tip a draw?
It's in Cairns.
Yeah, I've gone Gold Coast as well.
Yeah, Gold Coast. Well, Gold Coast have to sell their first few home games because of the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
That's why it's up Cairns.
Yeah, so this is the only away team I've picked all round. I've actually gone the Kangaroos.
Yeah, there's...
what will be interesting is if Gold Coast wins by a massive margin, I reckon we might actually see our first coach get the sack. Hawthorn versus the Collingwood Magpies. I actually reckon this could be close to game of the round. The two of them are under a bit of pressure. Well, not so much Hawthorn, but Hawthorn's just under pressure because Kennett's back. But they're going to be under pressure. Collingwood, we all know the story with Buckley, and they're both going to be looking for a massive first round.
This is one of the games that I believe could set up how their season goes, because looking at Collingwood's draw, if they don't get some early wins, they're in trouble, and they could be 6-0, 0-6, sorry, if they don't get some early wins, because they've got a lot of the top 8 from last year in the first lot. So
let's hope so.
This could spell demise for Buckley very, very quickly if they don't get one early on the board.
Well,
so
if they're 0-6, you got to think that he'd be gone then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going the Hawks.
Yeah, on that bit of advice, I'm going Hawthorn.
Yeah. All right, we'll quickly get through the last three because we're already over time. Surprise, surprise. GWS versus the Bulldogs at Manuka Oval. GWS, yep.
GWS.
Straight sets.
Demons versus Geelong Cats. Will Ablett be playing?
Yes.
Yep, so we get to see, what do they call it? Selwood... Cell
but
field
no,
or something. I don't know. It's terrible.
No. Danger's not playing. So but Cats for myself.
Yeah, around the Cats.
Melbourne
for me.
No worries. And lastly, the West Coast Eagles versus the Sydney Swans. The first game at Optus Stadium. Unfortunately, Josh Kennedy won't be playing. He'll be missing the first week, which is a bit disappointing. He is an absolute superstar, full forward. What do you guys got? Are the Eagles going to be celebrating the first game, or are they going to be crying in the change rooms?
I've got the Swans. New stadium, new ground, different dimensions. This is probably the most level playing field for a travelling team coming to WA. So there's no house of pain, no whatever you want to call it. So I reckon, just on paper, Sydney are a better team than West Coast. So there's no hometown advantage yet. So.
Yeah, I've got the Buddy Franklin show of Sydney Swans going to...
Sydney for me.
I think if the new stadium's good enough to get the Freo Dockers girls a win, I think it'll do the same for the West Coast Eagles men.
The West Coast Eagles girls team, yes.
Okay, fair call.
All right, we're only a couple of minutes over, so that's not too bad for us. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll be reporting on 3 grand final victories, but regardless... Fantastic effort to the Ellenbrook Rangers, the Swan Valley Cricket Club and the Midland Guildford Cricket Club, all 3 playing in grand finals this weekend. Looking forward to reporting next week. We'll be back next Wednesday.
On VCA 885 FM, where the Valley comes alive, you've been listening to In the Sheds with Alby, Brucey and Donny. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter @The Sheds 885. See you 6:30 next Wednesday.